Welcome to Carter's Retro Reviews. Today we're going to be reviewing Dynamite Cop. Now I know what you're thinking, that doesn't look like a Sega Saturn game, and you'd be correct. It is for the Sega Dreamcast. Now, I take a few issues with this game. The first one being, so the cop portion of Dynamite Cop checks out, that's totally fine, I got no problems with it. But the Dynamite portion, see, I played this game, and I played the game all the way through. It's not a very long game, and I'll get to that in a sec. But you only get to use Dynamite like twice in the game. I mean, do I really need to put that in the title? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, if you're gonna be a Dynamite Cop, why don't you just strap yourself up with Dynamite and, okay, now that I've said it out loud, I've realized that it sounds retarded. Oh, fuck! Dynamite Cop was developed by AM1 and published by Sega in the arcades in 1998, then released on the Dreamcast the following year. The story of the game is Wolf Hongo hijacks a cruise liner, and the three characters you can choose from are here to save the day: Bruno Dellinger, Gene Ivey, or Eddie Brown. And that's really it. Forget character nuance, forget detailed story, you're not here for that. What you are here for is the hope that this game is anything like the original Die Hard arcade. Because if you're anyone like me, you loved Die Hard arcade. Maybe you even considered buying the STV board for Die Hard arcade because you loved it so much. Well, the good news is, this really is the sequel. Maybe it will never hold a place in your heart like Die Hard arcade ever did, because it was all happening during those formative years where your feelings were intensified by the fact that everything was the first and nothing in your life had shown you something like this before. Unless of course you played this before you played Die Hard arcade. In which case, maybe this is the game that holds that special place tucked away in nostalgia. Anyway, let's see what makes this game pretty good despite its paper-thin plot. Presentation is your typical Sega arcade game, and while that word might seem dismissive and a negative thing, it is far from it. Sega's arcade games were so refined that it was hard to find an arcade game that got this aspect wrong. Bright colours and positioning of everything is so well done, from the beginning of the game's intro video right through to the credits at the end of the game. The graphics are a double-edged sword because on one hand, I fucking love these graphics. They're rich, exciting to look at, great atmosphere and environment, and not too bad in the scheme of things. Keeping in mind that this comes from someone who, typically reviews Saturn games, so by comparison, of course, it's a yes from me. But on the other hand, they're dated, even for the Dreamcast era, and the Dreamcast has proven itself perfectly capable of more. The red colour of the high score is a bit of an eyesore, and yes, I know that rhymes and I apologise, but when it zooms in, it has these blocky textures that seem a little flat. But otherwise, everything else looks really great. In the normal zoom, it has good detailing, no glitching, no tearing, and good framing with camera angles that work well. The sound is pretty standard, but what really helps everything is the sound effects. They're meaty, and excuse the pun, punchy. It has a real feeling of satisfaction when you lay a hit. The music itself, I don't have any particular strong opinion other than it does the job, and not really a whole lot more.
You sissy!
What separates the boys from the men is the gameplay. Die Hard Arcade had a pretty great feel to it, and this game continues that feel. The controls are very reactive, like a Donald Trump tweet. You have plenty of enemies to fight against, and the design of each enemy is what I love about Sega. They would take an idea and give it an out-of-the-box treatment. Strong men in animal suits, sumo wrestlers, ninjas, and pirates are all here. And there are some pretty standard weapons such as the handgun, but you can also throw bowls of food at people, and it's the little flourishes like that which I truly appreciate. You also have QuickTime events, which really helps capture the feeling of the original. I still felt it was an original aspect to add in, and only adds to the game in a positive way. Your attacks are the same with punch, kick and special. I've played this game enough not to have any real reliance on the special, unless I'm really in a tight situation, which was usually when an enemy had knocked me down, and when I got back up, had me cornered. You still take a tiny bit of health with the special, but sometimes that's a small price to pay, rather than the pantsing you would have otherwise got. The thing I really appreciate is the gameplay is quite simple, and yet at no point did I ever feel bored. This is the one aspect I have a real gripe with, to the point where it could really hinder the recommendation. Replayability is very lacking. You have 3 missions, but you can finish the entire game in literally 30 minutes. Then you have the old Sega arcade classic Tranquilizer Gun, versus mode, and survival mode, which adds another few hours, but it's still seriously short. You could have made this game twice as long, and I still would have said, make this game twice as long. Would I recommend this game? If you're okay with the very short duration, which includes all the other modes and content they added, then I would 100% definitely recommend this game. It feels great, it looks great, and it feels like the sequel Die Hard Arcade deserves. The PAL copy fetches quite a bit of coin at the time of this review, so take that into consideration.